Okay, welcome back. So today we will be talking on the concept of residual networks. So if you remember the last session, what is the topic that we had discussed? Can anybody? Transfer learning. Okay? As an extension to the transfer learning, we are talking about the concept of residual networks. Now, let's have a small interaction with you. Is any one of you are working with these residual networks right now in your project schools or any projects, mini or major projects? Can you raise up the hands? Is anyone working residual networks? Have you ever worked with these residual networks earlier? No. Fine. Anybody from this side? Okay. Have you heard about these residual networks? Yes. From this side? Have you heard about this residual networks? As an extension to the transfer learning, we are going to this concept. Okay, no problem. So today's session, we are going to experience and gain the knowledge about these residual networks and experiencing how to work with the residual networks. The last session, we stopped out a discussion with the transfer learning and discussed the concept of pre-trained model VGG16. In today's session, I am taking you to the concept of residual networks, which is extension to this transfer learning. Here we are going to talk on the ResNet architecture. So before studying this ResNet architecture and using this ResNet architecture for pre-trained architecture for your specific and task-oriented applications, first let us understand what is the concept of this residual networks that I am going to talk in this session. Just have a look on this one. Here is an approximation function f of and parameterized by a deep neural network X. Am I clear? This f of x, a parameterized function or approximation function which is parameterized on the deep neural network X. Given a low resolution image to this function, approximation function, it is aimed to produce a high resolution image. This is the task of super resolution. Am I clear what I am talking? We are talking about generating high resolution images or transforming, I can't say generation, transforming a low resolution image into a high resolution image. In order to do this, implementing a deep neural network architecture. Here is one deep neural network approximation function f of parameterized by the deep neural network X is presented here. Just assume it. So the task is given an input is a low resolution image, it is aimed to generate a high resolution image. This is the task. In this task, when you train your model, yes, you had implemented a beautiful architecture, right? And you trained your model with a pair of low resolution and high resolution images. But unfortunately, after training, your model can generate the images which is even worse than your input image. Will it possible or not? Obviously. Which is even worse than input images. Your intention, your aim of this deep neural network is producing the high resolution image, but your model has generated more worse image than the input. Okay? Right. What is the reason behind this? If you observe what is the how your model was trained, yes, your model was trained with a well established architecture for number of FOs, but if you look at the training loss, the model training loss is gone upwards endlessly instead of falling down. So what you're supposed to do, now we need to modify our network to make this training loss going in a right direction, falling downwards. This is the task. And essentially, I'm asking you to keep your network, this input as it is, keep retain the input, and asking you to find out what is needed to be added to the input in order to get this high resolution image. This is our task. I trained my model with a pair of high and low resolution images for a number of epochs with a beautiful architecture, but I got the results are very poor. So what I supposed to do? What is to be added? I wanted to retain my input, and what is to be added to this input which can transform this low resolution image into this high resolution image to achieve your intended aim. What is to be added? This is the question. Here are the 2 points I am considering. One is retaining the input, keeping that input throughout the network, and what is to be added to that input in order to transform your low resolution image into high resolution image. Okay, right. Just for a while, think the same problem in a different perception. So suppose, just subtract this high resolution image from this low resolution image, take the difference of these 2 images, what you are going to get is called residual image. Listening? Take the difference of your input and expected output, low resolution image and high resolution image. This difference is called the residual output, which is nothing but the difference of the low and high resolution images. Okay? Look at the equation. Low resolution minus high resolution is giving the difference of these 2 images, that is called the residual. Now, in order to answer my earlier question which I posted in the earlier slide, find out what is to be added to the input, retaining the input, in order to get the high resolution image. By modifying something in this equation, you can achieve that. Can anyone? What? Tell me, here in this equation, what changes to be done? The question which I posed in the earlier slide, recollect it. Input, low resolution image, plus question mark, what is to be added to the input to get the high resolution image? That was the question I posed earlier. Now I am giving a clue, some sort of different perception of the same problem. If you differentiate high and low resolution images, what you are getting is the residual. Can you answer that question from this equation with slight modification? Is it giving the solution? Retaining the input, adding that residual to this input, you can try to get your intended output, that is the high resolution image. This is the concept of adding residuals, the basic concept of adding residuals. This is the intuition for working and building the residual deep neural networks for the authors who published a paper in 2015, that you can refer. So if you look at this neural network, now let us have a look at this. This is a conceptual understanding I gave you. If you come to the layered architecture of the neural network, I am illustrating the same concept, this one, with this low and high resolution images, generating the high resolution image from the low resolution image using this network architecture. Whatever we discussed just before. So these are the number of layers are presented here. This real low resolution image has generated this Now adding this input at this particular output. We said add something to the input. That's what we are doing here. Throughout this network layered architecture of the same case of high and low resolution images, after achieving this residual image, if you add this input to this output, you can implement the task of adding residuals, connections. Yes, but here is the problem. Doing this, meaning that straightforward addition of these residual connections from input to the output is making a lot of issues. The major two issues associated with this way is, first is the dimensionality mismatching. See what these are all some network layers, probably for processing the image convolution layers would be there, right? So input with some dimension, if it passes through the number of convolution layers, obviously it reached to the different dimension, yes or no? Now the question is, how can you add this input to the residual which is obtained after certain number of layers whose dimension is not matching? For the case of illustration what I have taken example, getting the high resolution from the low resolution, this is working fine. But if you generalize the same concept, the pattern of adding this input to the residual after some layer at the output position will not work with the other tasks such as the classification like. Because in the classification, what is the dimension of the output? Single label. Obviously, this dimension is different from the input. In such case, if you wanted to implement this residual connections or the residual additions of adding this input to that label which is a single value, will it perform this element wise addition? No, that is mismatching. That is the first issue. And the second thing is, how can you carry this input signal throughout the network? How can you propagate this input signal throughout the network? That is the second concern. So in order to solve these two issues, what we are doing is, you just think about what will happen at the middle of this layer. Obviously, there is a loss in the training performance. Yes or no? Whatever the input and whatever the output, don't bother about the dimensions. Obviously, you might lose something most important information which is crucial for machine to learn. You are going to lose. So that input signal is also to be captured. You can't lose that one. So these are the two issues to be resolved while implementing these residual connections. So what we are doing is, instead of following the straightforward approach of adding this input to the residuals at the end, what we are doing is, we are implementing these residuals as a continuous blocks, so that whatever we are missing in the middle layer which I shown in the previous slide, the training information what we are losing, the training signal we are able to capture by retaining this input throughout the network consistently. Got the difference? Instead of adding this input to the residual at the last, we are introducing and incorporating these residual blocks continuously in the network. So that how this network is organized is totally is like this. Thus, these residual blocks are incorporated in the deep neural networks. Each of these blocks as a continuous or the sequence of residual blocks instead of sequence of independent layers. Correct? As a blockwise we are implementing this instead of independent layers. That is the difference. What is the core difference between the regular CNN networks and the residual networks is, here the networks are sequence of residual blocks There the networks are the sequence of layers, independent layers. Now here in this network, what is the benefit of these networks, residual networks, is if you see, we can skip a few blocks if you need, as many number of blocks if you need. When you are implementing a deep neural network, you can build the network continuous architecture, but if you want, you can skip some of the layers in between successive layers. That is possible with the residual networks. Okay? Now, let us now try to understand. So, that is how this residual network architecture was established. Okay. Now, let us try to understand what exactly this ResNet block is. What is the architecture of this ResNet block? You can see here, this is the actual ResNet block, how it was proposed by the authors in the very first paper of their residual deep learning concept. So, I am trying to give the same inception to you. So, here this is the architecture of the ResNet block, which is consisting of the convolution, batch norm, ReLU, convolution and batch norm. Okay. First, our input will pass through a 3 by 3 convolution layer with the stride is 1 and padding is 1. So, the parameters 3 by 3, filter size is 3 and striding is 1 and the padding is 1. What is the benefit of this one? With these parameters, we can ensure the dimensionality of the features matching with the input. Am I correct? So, the input is given to the first convolution layer of size 3 by 3, filter size 3, stride is 1 and padding is 1. Apply the formula n minus f plus 2p by s plus 1. These parameters, filter size 3, stride is 1, padding is 1, will keep retain the dimensionality of the features same as the input. That is the benefit. Okay. So, here the dimensionality is not getting changed with the first layer of my residual block. Correct? Okay. When moving on to this will be given to the batch normalization layer, where it will renormalize these features. And then it will be passed to an activation layer called the ReLU. This is the first set. Then the output of this will be passed to the second convolution layer, which is of the same size of parameters which we mentioned earlier in the first case. Filter size 3 by 3 and stride is 1 and padding is 1, same parameters. And then is passed to the second batch norm layer and producing the output. Up to this stage, it is a small or a regular or vanilla feed forward neural networks. Now, what we are doing at this stage is, in order to implement the residual block, this input is added to this output at this stage element wise. As I said, I ensured the parameters of this convolution is 3 by 3, stride 1 and padding 1. The dimensionality of the input and the final output is matching now in this case. This is what I ensured in my residual block. So, I could be able to perform this element wise addition of this output with this input, and finally this final output is passed to the another activation function ReLU. This is how the original residual block was defined and implemented. Did you follow this architecture? Clear. Now look at here. Here is the scenario, sir. Two different scenarios we are going to see. The same I am summarizing likewise here. The input X is passing to residual blocks. Here I presented only 3 only, doesn't mean only 3 layers, all the layers whatever I mentioned in the just before slide. When this input X, which is of 64, 64, 3, the meaning is 3 channel and the spatial dimension is 64 by 64. Height and width is 64 by 64. When this is the input, processed through this residual block and produce the output f of x, which is of the dimension 64 by 64 by 3, which is matching with the input dimension. No problem at all. Getting the point? If the input dimension and the output dimension of the residual block both are matching, then we can add this input through the skip connection directly to this residual output, so that we can perform the residual addition f of x plus x. So this is the scenario where the input and output dimensions are matching. Such type of residual blocks, we are calling it as the identity blocks. There are two types of residual blocks, that what I am telling. The first is the identity residual block, which can be implemented by the skip connections directly adding this input to the output of the residual block, in the case of both the input and output dimensions are matching together. Okay, this is perfect. Now let us see the second case where the dimensions are mismatching. Look at here. Here the input is of dimension 64 by 64 by 3, but the residual output is of dimension 32 by 32 by 6. Dimensions are mismatching. In this case, you can't use the skip connections directly, because what we are doing here is the element wise addition. In order to do the element wise addition at the residual connections, the dimensions, whatever the tensors that we are adding, should match together. Here is the mismatching of the dimensions. So what is supposed to be done? Dimension alignment should be done. How can you do this dimension alignment is by introducing a convolutional layer in the shortcut path. We can align the dimension of this input x with the output, residual output f of x. Then you can perform the addition of residual f of x plus fx. This is the case happened we will use when non-matching dimensions, input size is not matching with the output size. Such type of residual blocks are called as the convolutional blocks. Thus the residual blocks can be either identity blocks or the convolutional blocks. Two types of blocks will be there implementing these residual connections. Okay, is it clear up to this point? Now the question is, how this convolution layer will do this alignment of the dimensions of the input and output? There are two tricks are there. The first solution is, if the input feature is 64 by 64 and you wanted to get your intended output is 32 by 32 by 6 channels. How can you do this is, one method is zero padding. Add additional number of channels to meet the required number of channels and fill with the zeros. So what is my intended expected dimension? 32 by 32 by 6. So initial dimension channel is 3, 64 by 64 by 3. So the thing is, one solution for this one is add additional channels and fill with the zeros. You can see here 6 channels are there. These 3 channels are filled with the zeros. What is the benefit of this one? Filling with the zeros will not add any additional parameters to the network, no problem. But there is a disadvantages. Unnecessarily you are doing computations on the channels filled with the zero where there is no valuable information. Is it clear? This is one method. Second is another solution. Use one by one convolutions. Perform the convolutions or operations on the input with the filter size 1 by 1. So what will happen with the filter 1 by 1? Each element will be processed, convolved. Every time across the number of channels added together will increase the volume. So by applying 6 1 by 1 convolutions, you will get the channels 6. Correct? So using either of these two methods, you can increase the number of channels. Next, the second step is spatial dimension. How to downsample the spatial dimension? You know very well. Striding. Instead of pooling, I said one important point. Strided convolutions were implemented recommended instead of pooling in the last sessions. So in order to downsample, what you are doing is using striding during this convolution. So it will reduce the images to the size. So that the 64 by 64 will get reduced into 32 by 32 by increasing the number of channels to either of those two solutions. This is how the dimensionality matching can be done in the residual networks. We need to, when you are implementing the residual blocks, you need to take care about maintaining and matching this dimensionality of the input and the residuals. Okay, let me illustrate with the simple example. The input is 3 by 4 by 4, 3 is the channel by 4 by 4 is the spatial dimension, height and width of the image, and your output expected is dimension is 6 by 2 by 2. How it will do this one, whatever the solutions that we discussed, by adding 3 channels with the 0 padding, this 3 by 4 by 4 will get converted into 6 by 4 by 4. Only we added 3 channels with the 0 padding. So channel number is increased. Then once performing the strided convolution, striding is 2, it will reduce the image size so that it will become 6 by 2 by 2, which is matching your expected dimension of the residual. So that easily you can perform the residual addition here. This is the trick one or the solution one. And the second solution is, instead of using with the 0 padding of number of channels, you can perform one by one convolutions of that number of matching that number of channels. Okay, right. So now the question is, which is the best method among these two? Which is the best method among these two? Obviously the second one, convolution. The reason already I told you. The reason why? Because here with the 0 padding, even though no parameters are additional parameters are added to the network, but the computations will be useless because they are going to perform on the padded channels where it is padding with the zeros where there is no valuable information. Now let's have a look on the ResNet block PyTorch code. How to implement this ResNet block using the PyTorch code. Just have a look on this. This will help you to do your exercise. I'm talking about the forward pass of the ResNet block implementation. The first is given an input tensor X. We need a copy of that input tensor into the identity matrix because it need to be added at the last. Correct? So keep a copy of the input tensor into identity matrix. Then apply the first convolution batch norm. What is the architecture given? Convolution 3 by 3, batch norm and the ReLU activation. Apply on the input one after another so that this is the output you are getting with the first set of batch norm, convolution batch norm. Then pass it, apply the second convolution batch norm. What are the next 2 layers in the architecture? Again same convolution and batch norm. Yes, we have done it. And what is the next step? This is important. Before going to add this output and identity input, so you are supposed to adjust the dimensionality. If required, you need to do the downsample. 2 cases I said. If the dimension is matching, no need to downsample and no need of adjustments of dimensionality. If the dimensions are not matching, then you are supposed to do. Correct? Okay. So if the downsample is presented, optional is presented, then you are supposed to apply the downsample and make it as the identity. This input is to be processed. That's what I said in the identity block and the convolutional block. How this downsample, that we have to define. I said there in the slide, convolutional layer was implemented. Not only the convolutional layer, whatever the way of transformation. Okay. Once this adjustment is done, then we are supposed to add this residual connection This out is updated with out plus identity. So the input identity, copy of the input is added to the output which is obtained by the last batch norm layer, and finally it is then passed to the ReLU activation. The final output is written by this network. The same architecture, this is how it is implemented. Okay, good. This is the overall ResNet 50 model. So the popular pre-trained model with the residual blocks is the ResNet 50. Just have a look on this network architecture. 50 layers should be there in this one. How these 50 layers are organized, let me explain you for a while. This is the input image passed through the convolutional layer of filter size 7 by 7 with 64 filters, and stride is 2. Then reduce this image into this one, then it is then passed to the max pooling layer. Here is one layer, this convolution 7 by 7, one layer. You just do the count how these 50 layers will come, right? Next. Then it is passed to look at here 3 layers. 1 by 1 convolution of 64 filters, 3 by 3 convolution 64 filters, 1 by 1 convolution 256 filters. This is one set, 3 layers. The same set repeated for 3 times, so that 9 layers. You can see here 9. Can you observe here how is this connections made? Residual connections. Every 3 layers are residual connected. Output of every 3 layers are residual connected with input. This you can see here, residual connection. Can you see this? What is this? What type of residual connection is here? Here is the difference is there, here is the difference is there. How this residual connection is different from here? The first one is the residual connection is identity block. Direct, where you are directly adding this input to the residual output. If you look at here symbol, and these connections are made at the dotted lines, meaning that those residual connections are convolutional blocks. You can see this image. Beneath that small portion is there. Input is modified before adding to the residual by passing through the convolutional layer. Okay, here you are getting 9 layers. Then there is 4 layers green color, which is each one consisting of 3. So 4 into 3, 12. Here is the 6 layers, 6 set layers, each is containing 3. 3 into 6, 18. And here is again 3 layers, 3 sets consisting, each is 3 layer, 3 into 3, 9. And the last is the fully connected layer. You can see here, here is 1 plus 9 plus 12 plus 18 plus 9 plus 1, 50 layers. Clear? This is ResNet 50. This is another architecture which will give you the illustration of different versions of this ResNet model 50 and 100, 101 and 152 layers. The repetition of these blocks, CFG blocks 1, 2, 3, 4 for number of times will give you this illustration. Okay. Now let's move on to the hands-on session and exercise on the residual networks. So log into your Tantric session. You are able to fetch an exercise titled PSEL ResNet. All of you log into the session and please confirm whether you are able to fetch this exercise. Are you able to access this? Anyone? Thank you. PSEL ResNet. Here it is the exercise. You are asked to implement the ResNet block in PyTorch. There are 2 exercises in this assignment. So the task is you need to implement the ResNet block. Everyone has to submit this exercise, whomever are there in this auditorium. All of you get connected to this exercise first. Fetch this notebook. Open this notebook, all of you. ResNet architecture, what you are asking to implement is also provided here. The same is the architecture that we discussed in the session just before in the slides. Input first will be passed through 3x3 convolution with stride is 1, padding is 1. Then to batch normalization layer, and then to ReLU activation, and then pass it to another second convolution layer of same parameters which we defined earlier. Then will be passed to the batch normalization same as in the earlier. Now at this stage, add this input to this output of the network in order to perform the residual connection, so that x is added to f of x. Then it will be passed to the next activation layer, ReLU. This is how you are asked to build a residual network. Okay? Now, if you come to the graded exercise 1, first thing, you have to build the residual net block by inheriting the torch module. Come to the code part. The required libraries were already imported for your convenience, because we already practiced that whatever the libraries are required for what purpose in earlier session. So these were already imported. You don't need to do this thing. If you want any more additional libraries, you can import it. It depends on the logic that you are following. Now let us start building the ResNet block, which is inheriting the NN module, torch neural network module. You are overriding the constructor by init method, which is taking the parameters input channels, output channels, stride is 1, and the downsample is optional. With the optional downsample provided, you support to implement. And also to define the forward pass. To get better understanding this, what you're supposed to write, just scroll down a little bit and see the implementation, example usage of this residual block. Here is provided a one way of defining a downsample. Have a look on this one, how this downsample is provided. I said here it is in the init method, downsample is optional. Okay? In the example usage code block, I provided you a way of defining the downsample. Here the downsample was defined by a sequential model with a convolution layer of kernel size 1, stride is 2. What is this? Second approach. Second approach. Using Challen-Lember of 1x1 convolutions, performing 1x1 convolutions of stride 2 to matching the dimensions. Okay? Along with one more batch normalization also I am doing. So as I initiated this, as I instantiated this ResNet block with 64 input channels and 128 output channels of stride 2, now the downsample should match the dimension 64 by 128. If you change this input, obviously you are supposed to change this dimensions of this downsample also, in terms of input and output channels of the convolution layer, which you are defining in the downsample. Okay? Let's back to this part. Now you need to finish off this. So fill the code which implements your PyTorch code for ResNet block, building the ResNet block. I already shown you the forward pass of this ResNet block. In the slide itself, I shown you. You just recollect how it was implemented. So the instructions required for doing this, implementing these steps, the steps are provided in the description itself. Step by step instructions. And implementing the forward pass. You just read that instructions, you will get an idea, and look at the architecture of the network given, so that it will be easy for you to implement this ResNet block. Could you please confirm how many of you are logging into this notebook? Raise up the hands. I just want to check. Only 60 logins are there. What about the other students? All of you get connected immediately? Nothing is wrong to attempt this exercise and do practice of the well-known concepts also. Only 70 logins. People are connecting very slowly. Do it fast. Just recollect the knowledge that you are already having. Here the instructions are given very clearly. This is the residual block you need to implement. So remember what I am doing in this exercise. I am not asking you to use the existing one. I am trying to make you to build your own residual block. You are learning the concept of building from scratch. The same thing what we did with the convolution neural networks. Done? First part is over. The second part also. Got the first case, first exercise validation successful, then that's good. And the same you can find one more second graded exercise. Just look at here. The difference is here it is asked to implement the ResNet block with the dimension matching using zero padding. So we discussed two types, two solutions for mapping the dimensions of the input and the residuals. In the first exercise, it was asked to implement the residual network block with the dimension matching using the first method of using one by one convolutions. Sorry, second solution. We have discussed another solution, the first one in the slide itself, that is performing zero padding, increasing the number of channels by performing zero padding and then downsampling. So in the second graded exercise, the same thing is asked to implement. So implementing the ResNet block with the dimension matching using zero padding. Clear instructions were given. For defining the ResNet block, first you have to define the first set of convolution layer as you did in the first part of the exercise, first graded exercise similar. One convolution layer, one batch norm layer and ReLU activation. This is the first set, and second convolution layers. One convolution and batch norm, and then activation, ReLU activation. Next, zero padding for dimension matching. So here in this case, zero padding supposed to be used. So the logic for matching this dimension using zero padding is given in the description of the problem statement itself. Just follow that description and implement the code. How this downsampling will process this input, zero padding downsampling, that you are supposed to design in the forward method of the resonate block. The instructions for writing the code in the forward method is also provided clearly. It's a 6-step logic. How to implement this is also given clearly in the instructions. Just read and follow that. Understand the concept, read and follow that. So the difference from the first graded exercise for the second is, here we haven't defined this downsampling separately. There it was, downsample was an optional provided by this when instantiating this resonate model. This is the difference. Look at here how this resonate block is instantiated. Input channel, output channels, stride and downsample is passed. In the second graded exercise, just look at the signature parameters, this constructed method. Did you find any downsampling here? No, we are not passing externally. Internally in the block itself, we are supposed to implement this downsampling. The instructions for doing this is provided here. So that is the difference from these two graded exercises. So in the second case, the resonate block is instantiated just by passing number of channels, output channels, input channels, output channels and the striding only. We are not passing any downsampling. It is a fixed one, zero padding fixed one that you are supposed to implement in the block itself. How many of you completed the first graded exercise and validated the case? One or two only I could see. Anybody is struggling? There was a small tricky change was there. In the block architecture, it is given the parameters of convolution. Striding is 1 and padding is 1 for both the convolution layers. But in the exercise description, can you see it here? Instructions for the exercise of graded 1. Define the stride 1 for the second layer and configurable stride for the first layer. Remember that. So that you can pass all the test cases given for the first exercise. In the structure we discussed, the stride is equal to 1 for both the convolution layers. I want you to experience the dimensionality mismatching. So that's the reason why intentionally we made this instruction. For the first exercise, what is that? Configurable stride for the first layer and stride is 1 for the second layer. This is the change we made. Remember, practice makes us perfect. Even you know the concept, but doing practice is nothing is going to be loose. We just had implemented the forward pass, not even the backward pass. Both zero padding and 1 by 1 convolutions. Okay, let's back to this session. So why we are studying these resonates? Why we are studying these resonate blocks? This is the reason why. where we started our discussion. Remember? During the concept of transfer learning, we started the discussion of pre-trained model. I'm going to give you a brief brush up. Already this concept was discussed. 2-3 minutes brush up on this one. We'll release them. We'll go to the next one. So what is the meaning of the transfer learning? The knowledge that you gained on one particular task, using and implementing in order to improve the performance on some another task. Transferring the knowledge gained from one task into another task, simply to say. As a part of this one, on the discussion of this part, this is how the discussion had happened. If you see this, a typical convolution neural network, it will be divided into two parts. One is the feature extraction part and the second is the classification part, task oriented. Okay? The first part is the responsibility of this first part is extracting the features from the data. Obviously, this would consisting of the convolution layers along with the pooling or something, right? Its responsibility is extracting the features. And what is the second part? Classification, task oriented. It will consisting of the feed forward neural network which will perform the specific task of classification, text generation or the caption generation likewise. So thus the typical network is divided into two parts, convolution block and the classification block. When you are repurposing this pre-trained model for your own interested task, you are supposed to do two things. One is this lower part, classification part, is to be replaced with the task which is suitable for your performance, for intended task, and the second is fine tuning this feature extraction model, feature extraction part. So these are the two steps. How you can do this one is following one of these three strategies. What are these three strategies? First thing is, you have to train the entire convolution part along with the classification part. Second is, completely freeze the convolution part, no need to do that training, only train the classification part. And the another strategy is training few layers in the convolution part, keeping the rest of the layers are frozen. These are the three strategies. According to one of these three strategies, you are supposed to fine tune your model when you are repurposing the pre-trained model for your specific task. Okay. So this size similarity matrix of the data set will help you to take the decision, which strategy to be followed. So if it is large and different from this trained data set, you have to train the entire feature extraction part also along with the classification. The second is, if it is the small and similar to the pre-trained, no need to train the feature extraction part. You can directly go for the classification, meaning you can freeze this convolution part, the feature extraction part, and use the classification part only for training. For the rest of the two cases of large data set similar and large data set dissimilar with the pre-trained model data set, you can follow the strategy second category of this fine tuning, that is freezing few layers and training topmost layers. The second strategy will be applied for these scenarios. Okay, this is what we discussed in the last session. So afterwards we went to the concept of VGG16, we discussed, and how this VGG16, we have a very beautiful number of pre-trained models, LENet starting with the LENet 5, AlexNet, VGG16, VGG19 likewise, and ResNet. This ResNet architecture 50 was discussed just before, and the core concept of this ResNet 50 is the residual block implementation, deep neural networks with residual learning. This is also discussed in today's session. Okay. Now the purpose of this one is, you can use this pre-trained high-ended, extremely high-ended deep neural network for your specific small tasks. How to use this pre-trained model? One exercise was designed on VGG 16 only. You just complete that first, then it is easy for you following the same strategy whatever the model is. So I am going to release another one which is already made in the last week itself, but most of you hadn't attempted that. Let me release that exercise also now. So I am releasing one more exercise that you need to finish in today's session. So today's task is these two exercises. PSEL Transfer Learning Assignment 1. You can fetch it just now. PSEL TL Transfer Learning Assignment 1. So two exercises for today's session over. Two assignment. This is the assignment PSEL TL Transfer Learning using pre-trained model using VGG 16. Finish these two exercises.